dear politicians in Brussels, please tell Denmark that we have to make the carbon tax, of course, but do it other countries also.
La planète étouffe, les catastrophes climatiques se font toujours plus dévastatrices et la lutte contre l'effet de serre est un impératif pour l'Europe. Mais les moyens d'y parvenir sont loin de faire consensus, surtout lorsqu'il s'agit du secteur agricole. Je suis au Danemark, l'un des pays les plus ambitieux de l'Union en matière de réduction des gaz à effet de serre. Dernière initiative du gouvernement danois, l'instauration d'une taxe carbone sur l'élevage à partir de 2030, une première mondiale. La mesure, qui doit encore être votée par le Parlement danois, est controversée. Selon ses détracteurs, elle n'aura notamment que peu d'effet sur le bilan carbone de l'élevage. L'Union européenne veut devenir neutre en carbone d'ici 2050, avec pour objectif intermédiaire de réduire les émissions de gaz à effet de serre ou GES d'au moins 55% d'ici 2030. Mais il faudrait pour cela, selon les experts, que les GES provenant de l'agriculture baissent de moitié. Le secteur génère 11,4% des émissions de gaz à effet de serre en Europe. La plupart de ces rejets sont dus à l'élevage. Ils proviennent surtout de la digestion d'aliments par les bovins et les ovins et du stockage de fumier de bovins et porcins. S'y ajoutent les émissions produites par l'épandage d'engrais chimiques et le fumier épandu par les agriculteurs ou excrété par les bovins. La France, l'Allemagne et la Pologne sont les plus grands émetteurs de GES d'origine agricole dans l'Union européenne. Mais le Danemark, grand exportateur de produits laitiers et de porc, n'est pas de reste. L'élevage y est la deuxième source d'émissions de gaz à effet de serre du pays, après l'énergie. L'agriculture occupe plus de la moitié du territoire du Danemark, une surface presque entièrement consacrée à l'élevage. Je suis ici dans l'une des fermes porcines de la région de Sealand, qui, avec les élevages bovins, sont les cibles principales de la taxe carbone que le gouvernement veut instaurer sur l'élevage, une mesure dont l'efficacité ne convainc pas du tout le propriétaire des lieux et responsable de l'association danoise pour une agriculture durable.
On this farm we have 800 sows. They produce around 28,000 pigs a year. I sell the pigs when they are 30 kilos to Germany and Poland and other countries because I get the best price on that market. I can say we use the best technology to keep the pollution as low as possible. These pigs are 3 weeks old. The crate here in here is very clean all the time because the floor is open. So the poo-poo, it goes down to the floor. And under the floor we have a technology with some pipes. They cool the manure all the time. And it makes some energy, so we use the energy from cooling the manure to heat up the house for the small piglets, which is a really good idea and good for environment. We don't have this pollution of the air, so we don't have the steam, the damp of the nitrogen going to the system, to the ventilation we have up here and out in the air. Here we have the manure tanks. This one, we just got a new top on, so we don't get any pollution to the air. There's also a lot of gas from methane and going up, so this is stopping that. And the other tank, we have to change the top because it was old.
Now I know where the smell comes from.
Now you know where the smell comes from. We use the manure from the pigs in the fields, so also there it's going around in the system. And we also have a plan of taking the manure to a place where they can make energy out of it. 40% of all the gas in Denmark is from biogas, which means that we take the manure from the cows and the pigs and put them to a factory, so they put out to the consumers, to the citizens.
Selon l'agriculteur, l'introduction de la nouvelle taxe sera contre-productive.
Everybody, especially Danish farmers, we want to be the greenest and the best. If we get the tax, we will have problems to keep doing that because we cannot invest in the green technology. This is the only country who wants to make taxes, and taxes is not good from the market. If we get a carbon tax, I'm not going to be competitive to the other countries, so I'm going to stop having my sows. I'm still going to have the fields and trying to get along, but I'm not being able to have a production like this.
You have one question to ask to Brussels?
Yeah. Dear politicians in Brussels, please tell Denmark that we have to make the carbon tax, of course, but do it on the other countries also. All the countries in the world would be best, but at least in Europe that we could do it at the same time. It's not good for one small country who is really dependent of the competition.
Le Parlement danois derrière moi doit bientôt voter sur la nouvelle taxe que le gouvernement veut instaurer sur les émissions de gaz à effet de serre de l'élevage. De quoi inspirer l'Europe ? Bruxelles a en tout cas renoncé à une tarification du carbone d'origine agricole. Des points que j'ai soumis à l'une des expertes du Conseil scientifique consultatif européen sur le climat à Copenhague.
If we look at the emissions from agriculture in Europe, since 2005, very little have happened in terms of reducing emissions. And one of the reasons is that there's no incentive for farmers to do so. So if you think, for example, of how you handle manure, technologies to treat it better, they're costly. Mm-hmm. If you actually had a gain by paying, in the Danish context, less of a tax by installing these things, you would have an incentive to actually install it.
There are some farmers in Denmark who do not agree with this new tax, and they say that as long as the EU is not harmonized in this field, it will create a competitive disadvantage for Danish farmers who will eventually move out. So do they have a point?
One of the critiques of implementing a greenhouse gas tax in Denmark in agriculture has been a concern of what is called leakage, so that the production and thereby the emissions move to other countries. And that's where the EU as such has a large role, because the more common policy we have in Europe, the less leakage there will be for the individual countries, because other countries also have to reduce emissions. I think we need to implement some sort of pricing mechanism in agriculture to give an incentive to reduce emissions. And the other thing is to look into the common agricultural policy and see how we can revise that, because as it is today, a large amount of the subsidies are going to greenhouse gas intensive productions and not to less carbon intensive production forms.
Sous pression des agriculteurs, l'exécutif européen a en tout cas renoncé cette année à intégrer des mesures spécifiques à l'agriculture dans ses objectifs climatiques pour 2040.